Hi, just a quick message before we start the podcast. If you would like to support the podcast and the work I do here, please go to convome.com/support. You'll be able to either buy me a coffee or for extra perks, you can become a monthly podcast supporter. More information is available at convome.com/support. Now, onto the episode. So welcome to this week's episode. I'm your host, Ijoma, and I thank you for joining me. My guest this week is an Etsy veteran. She's Tess, and Tess runs two Etsy stores, JewelByTessyla and Tessyla. Tess, thank you so much for being my guest, and welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Ijoma. I am so excited to be here.
I'm thrilled to have you because you've been around on Etsy for a while and you have just accomplished so much. In your first store, Tessyla, you have over 22,000, actually closer to 23,000 sales and almost 3,000 in your second Etsy store. So I would say you're a raving success on Etsy, and I'm so excited to hear just your whole journey and how you got to where you are today. So thank you. Let's start with how you describe yourself. How would you describe Tess?
Oh gosh. Well, I guess I would describe myself as an artist. I've always been creative. As a little girl, I would make paper dolls and then I would, make outfits for them and I would make jewelry and I've always just been into the arts. So I guess I would describe myself as an artist.
I
And
like that.
I'm also a mom. I have a 7-year-old son and a husband.
And as many of us, especially people listening to this podcast, you wear so many hats.
I
And
do. I have no me time.
yep, get that. So, how did you first discover Etsy?
Well, this is a little bit of a story, so bear with me.
Yeah.
After high school, I went to college at the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and I studied fashion design there. And my favorite part of that curriculum was learning how to do textile design on the computer. So that was basically us creating our own patterns and designs for fabric using different computer illustration programs.
Mhm.
So we were essentially doing graphic design without really knowing that that's what it was. And I also got to create my fashion portfolio on the computer. So it was really just my first taste of creating art digitally and kind of an introduction to graphic design. So after I graduated from there, I had my degree in fashion and I decided I wanted to continue. And I really liked that textile design aspect. So I applied to FIT in New York for their textile and surface design program. I was accepted there and I studied for a while. And then I decided to move to North Carolina to be with my now husband. And I had planned to continue my textile education here, but that didn't really pan out the way I had hoped because we're kind of in the country and there's not really, this is not New York.
Yeah.
This is different. So I was a little bit lost. I had kind of started this journey hoping to, find a path into a creative career. And now I just felt like, I don't know, I was just kind of stopped. So I knew I had to find my way into design somehow, but I just didn't see how that was going to happen here. I was working at a bank as a bank teller just to pay the bills. And I was contemplating moving back to New York to continue at FIT because I just didn't see, how I could make it work here. And on top of that, I had discovered, since this was our first time living together, that my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was a total sports freak. So anytime there was a football or a basketball game on, he was going to be watching it. And I just can't with sports.
Yeah.
I have no desire to watch any game of any kind. So I was left with a lot of free time on my hands. So this was around 2008. And I believe I found out about Etsy in a magazine. So I logged onto my computer to check it out because I had never heard of Etsy. And at that time, 2008, most people didn't know it existed. So I remember stumbling across this shop called Daisy Chick, and this woman was selling art prints. And I didn't even know what an art print was, but it's basically art that's created on the computer and then printed out for a customer to frame and hang in their home.
Yeah.
And this shop had over 20,000 sales. And I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe people are buying this. Not because it was terrible, just because prints, I didn't know anything about this and I had no idea that this was a thing.
Hmm.
So she was selling an 8 by 10 print for about $25 plus shipping. And I remember doing the math in my head and thinking, she just needs to sell 4 or 5 of these a day to make $100. And that was more than I was making at the bank. So I wondered if this was something that I could do.
Yeah.
And I started my shop right after that. I just listed a few simple prints with quotes, like a few things I'd done in school, and some blank note card sets with simple illustrations on the front. And because of all the free time I had with the sports watcher, I had taken a beading class at a local bead shop to learn how to make necklaces. So then I started listing any jewelry that I would make for sale in the shop too.
And that's how your second store came about?
No, I just had the one store in the beginning.
Okay.
I That was 2008 when I first opened my shop, and I
Hmm.
just basically whatever I could make, I would put for sale in the shop.
Okay.
So I had prints, I had cards, and I had jewelry all in the one shop.
Okay. So, how did you decide to split off into two separate shops? And did you see it as a problem selling, like in different niches, I guess, within under one roof?
Well, I decided to split into the two shops in 2013. So I had everything together for about 5 years.
Mm.
But I just got so tired of seeing my art mixed in with the jewelry,
Mm.
and it felt very like incohesive to me, and I didn't like the way that it looked. So I thought it would look so much better to just have art in one shop and then jewelry in another.
Yeah.
But I was afraid because I was doing well selling the jewelry in the main shop.
Yeah.
And I wondered if I moved at all, would I lose that momentum? And what about my repeat customers?
Yeah.
Would they be able to find me? But I just felt like it was inevitable that this was going to happen. So I just went ahead and did it. I slowly moved, everything over. I would list an item in the jewelry shop and then I would remove it from my other shop.
Hmm.
And I also messaged every single customer who ever purchased any jewelry from me. And I let them know that I was opening a separate shop for jewelry.
Hmm.
And I gave them the link to that along with a coupon code for a discount on their first order.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
then, have you found that because I'm looking at both your shops, and I see exactly what you mean by the Tessyla does have a look. It has an aesthetic which I can imagine with jewelry would kind of throw that off if somebody's looking just at the front page of the store. Have you noticed that your sales in not necessarily your sales, but the momentum in Jewel by Tessyla has maintained itself and not really suffered because it's you split it from the main store?
It's a little bit tricky because my sales in the jewelry shop have they go up and they go down.
Hmm.
I think the first month that I kind of had everything moved over, I think I did $2,000 in sales in the jewelry shop. And
Nice.
then, yeah, so I was like, this is cool, I
Yeah.
can handle this.
Yeah.
And I think the next month, for some reason, it went up to 6,000. But then after that, it kind of went back to between 2 and 4,000
Hmm.
until last year, actually. I don't know what happened. Something happened. I had these wood beaded necklaces for sale in my shop forever. Like I had them in the original shop. So
Yeah.
they'd been for sale for years and they were sellers. They would consistently sell and then I would just, relist that same listing
Hmm.
and I would kind of make those to order. And last year, I guess men discovered these necklaces, which I never marketed to men. And all of a sudden, I had all these male buyers. And I got really busy with just selling those to the
Yeah.
male buyers.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up doing 40,000 in sales in the jewelry shop last year.
Whoa.
So
And
that was crazy.
I can imagine. And would you attribute that to the new male clientele that you were getting?
I guess. I mean, it never even dawned on me like to first of all that men were looking at jewelry on Etsy.
Yeah, I know.
Or, I had no desire to like design for men, you
Yeah.
know,
Yes.
but somehow they found me. And sometimes a listing just sort of takes off.
Yeah.
I guess the more sales that it gets and
Hmm.
the more good feedback that it gets, it's found easier.
Yes.
And, there were a couple of times where I saw the little bestseller badge like next to the item.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, for whatever reason, and I'm thankful for that, this item just kind of took off. And now I do have these male customers, and it's like a whole new thing for me.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yes, I know the Etsy search algorithm does reward listings that have a high conversion rate, because they're earning more, if the
Hmm.
listing is converting more, so they show it more. And and that bestseller badge, I think, is like magic, even for buyers, because they see that and they're more drawn to that. But interestingly enough, I was listening to another podcast yesterday, and a guy was saying, it was a husband and wife, and the wife started a jewelry business, and she had the husband was would help her with packing and shipping and all whatnot, and she does lives like on Instagram to show what pieces she has, and people would notice him in the background. It was purely organic. Would notice him in the background, helping around, not even part of the live. And a
Mm.
couple of times, something happened where she couldn't, like, she had to step away, and so he would step in and like demo the jewelry, and then more men started watching and buying the jewelry. Like, they would ask to make tweaks to make it look a bit more masculine, and then they would
Hmm.
buy. And now, she says her main clientele are male shoppers looking for jewelry. And after you said that, I'm thinking now that might be like a whole new um area. Maybe not new necessarily, but underserved.
Definitely. I agree with you. And that is so funny. I feel like, yeah, more people are finding Etsy in general. And I guess that, more and more men. And most of my male customers are, they're pretty young and
Yeah.
they're kind of like urban type guys. And,
Yeah.
they just want, I don't know, they have like that bohemian kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's definitely an underserved market. There's not too many sellers, catering to men.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an idea.
So when you first opened your shop, um, I know part of it was to get away from the sports. I that would be me as well. Like, anything to not watch or hear sports. Um,
Right.
but what was your idea? Was it did you open your first shop just as a time filler, or did you have goals because you had seen what someone else, the Daisy chick, had accomplished? Did you come at it with goals, or just really, well, let me just try?
I guess it was more of an experiment, really,
Hmm.
because I mean, Etsy was so unknown, and really, I had no idea you know, anything about it. And I didn't even research. Now you can find all of these articles and podcasts and YouTube videos, and
Hmm.
you could find all the information in the world about, how to run your Etsy business and make it successful. But I just I saw this one shop and I was like, I wonder, if this could work for me.
Yeah.
So it was a half time filler, definitely.
Yeah.
And then half just me trying to get my foot in the door of something creative. Like I needed to get away from the bank. This
Yeah.
was not my path in life, you know? So I really had no idea what to think of it and what to expect. In the back of my head, I guess I was kind of hoping like for those 20,000 sales to just come magically.
Hmm.
But I really had no idea, you know, what was to come, I guess.
Yeah. And did you have any, well, it sounds like you didn't have any reservations though. Once you got into it, you were in it. And back then, like you said, there wasn't that much information out there. Were you just learning as you went along the way, or did you reach out to other sellers? Because I know in the early days of Etsy, there was very much of a community feel where sellers were all about helping other sellers and lifting other people up. Now it's a bit more competitive. It's a bit harder to find that type of spirit in Etsy. It's still there, but I personally I feel it's kind of different. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I definitely, you know, I looked on the, you know, the forums and all that kind of thing, but I really didn't reach out to anybody and I kind of just did it on my own. And to be honest, it was not good.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I look back at some of those first sales, and I mean, the items were just, I mean, the pictures were bad. You know, my title was very simple. It was like flower print. That was it. And then, you know, my tags were one word tags. So like I was doing everything wrong,
Yeah.
but there was not nearly as much competition as there is now.
Yeah.
So part of what happened with me, I think, is I got really lucky with the timing of when I discovered Etsy and when I started my shop. But it was not good. Um, the first year that I opened it, I only had two sales, and one of them doesn't even really count because the first sale I had, I made my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, I made him buy two things. I was like, I got to get started here because nobody wants to buy from a shop with no feedback and no sales.
Oh, right.
So I made him buy a print and a set of note cards. And then, you know, I made him leave glowing reviews.
Yeah.
And that was, you know, that was my first technical sale.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my first actual sale came the very next day, which was very unexpected. And, but that was kind of a fluke because that year I only had those two sales. The next year I had 68 sales, which was very sporadic. Like I would get a sale and then 2 months later I would get another sale.
Yeah.
And then maybe 6 months later I would have like 10 sales. There was just no like rhyme or reason.
Hmm.
And yeah.
Could you see a pattern? Like, were people buying the same thing? Were like, was it the same product that was selling, or the same set of products that were selling repeatedly, or it was just all across the board, one of just onesies here and there?
Well, there was a particular print that actually made it onto this shows how old this was, made it onto the front page of Etsy. Do you remember when they used to have like front page items and it was like a
Yes.
big deal to get on the front
Yes.
page?
Yeah.
One of my prints got on the front page and I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is it. I have made it now.
And you had,
And
because back then that was making it.
I guess, but I really hadn't because I mean, I sold maybe 10 of those, but to me
Okay.
it was like such a huge deal, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, I wasn't making those sales like that I needed to until this is a fun story. I actually ended up getting fired from the bank for cashing a bad check. Yeah, I was not
Oh
the
no.
greatest bank teller. And I was so upset. I was like crying, like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You know, I've never been fired. And, you know, my Etsy shop hadn't really taken off like in the daisy chick way.
Yeah.
Like, that was not, you know, something that I could do as a full-time job at this point.
Mm.
So that was another, I was just lost again.
Mm.
So I decided to take some graphic design classes at a local college, and then I got a job waitressing at night. And that gave me so much more time to work on my shop
Mm.
because my husband worked during the day and then I was working at night. So, apart from the few classes I was taking at the college during the week, I had all of this time during the day to work on my Etsy shop.
Yeah.
And I spent all of my time doing that. I was constantly making new listings, new designs, new jewelry, and always trying to just better my shop.
Yeah.
And I found that the more time I put into my shop, the more sales I would end up getting. And a couple of things happened that I consider to be my lucky breaks that really kind of got me going. And I can talk about those.
Please do.
So, one of my customers ended up purchasing two separate bird prints, and she contacted me asking if I could make a third print to coordinate with those because she had planned to hang all three of them together above her bed as a trio.
Mhm.
And at that time, print sets were not a thing. Like you didn't see anyone selling print sets on Etsy. It was
Yeah.
just individual prints. So this was something totally new. So I made a third print for her and sent her the proof, and she loved it and purchased it. And then I decided to list all three of them together as a set in my shop.
Mhm.
So that ended up selling really well. And from then on, I would always make print sets in my shop because it was so much easier for the customer to have these designs that already go together
Yeah.
and they're color coordinated. And, they don't have to seek out individual prints and hope they would look good together. So this took a lot of the guesswork out for the customer
Yeah.
and it made it really easy for them to decorate their home with just these sets. So my print sets started really kind of taking off, and I was one of the only people, maybe the first person, I'm not sure, to kind of do that on Etsy. And then another lucky thing that happened was I had a friend who wanted me to make an elephant print to coordinate with her children's shower curtain. And I hadn't ventured into children's art at that point yet. I didn't have, any elephant prints or anything like that.
Mhm.
But I designed one for her, and then, of course, I listed it in my shop and I turned it into a set. And it hadn't even dawned on me to market this as a nursery item because nurseries weren't something that I even thought about or
Yeah.
really even knew existed.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure, like nowadays, nurseries are like, you can get really crazy with that.
Yep.
Like the decorating for the nurseries is just, it's its own thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a baby at that time and I didn't really know that people decorated these rooms for their babies. So my elephant set ended off taking off and tons of people were buying it for their nurseries and wanting me to color coordinate it to match their crypt bedding and their paint colors.
Mhm.
So every time I would do that, I would make a new listing for that set in a particular colorway, just in case someone else was using that crypt bedding too,
Yeah.
or doing their nursery in those colors. So I don't know if you remember, but this was when yellow and gray was everything. Everything was yellow and gray. It was huge.
Yeah.
And everyone was doing a yellow and gray nursery. So I had so many yellow and gray sets of everything that the bird set actually ended up being a big nursery item for me as well, because I did a yellow and gray version, and then that just became,
Took
a
off.
big seller for me.
Yeah.
So I kind of became known for my nursery designs
Mm.
by accident. Like I never set out to design for nurseries, and
Mhm.
I was just really lucky that it sort of came to be in that way, and that my customers kind of pushed me into that niche.
Yeah. It's like your niche found you.
It did.
And so
Yeah.
then did you just narrow down at the time to just nurseries? Just nursery room decor?
That's mostly what I was doing
Yeah.
because even things that I didn't design for nurseries, people were putting them in their nurseries. So I was just kind of like, okay, I'm good at nurseries.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was getting really busy with all the nursery orders. And also I was selling quite a bit of jewelry, but I was still waiting tables at the restaurant.
Mm.
So one day I had just gotten to the restaurant and I had my first table. I was taking their drink order when I heard the cha-ching in my apron.
Oh.
And of course, I wanted to run to the bathroom to see what I had sold and check my convos and all that good stuff. So I had sold two items totaling over $200. And I knew that that was more than I was going to make at the restaurant that night. And I just thought to myself, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to bring them their drinks. I don't want to take their order. You know, I
No,
want to
you
go
did
home.
not.
I want to go home and work on my orders.
Yeah.
So I walked over to my manager and I quit right in the middle of my shift. And they were
Oh,
like, please, please, Tess, don't do this. We need you
oh,
tonight. We'll be short-staffed. And I was just like, nope, I can't. I'm sorry.
wow.
I remember it feeling good, like I had kind of made the right decision.
Yeah,
And this was really like my push to make Etsy work for me and to
yeah,
get this to become my full-time job.
yeah.
So I was nervous to tell my husband, but he was actually really supportive. And
Okay.
he's always been like my biggest supporter.
Yeah.
And this was at the end of 2011. So I had been working and doing my Etsy shop for 3 years. And the following year was the first year that I was just full-time Etsy.
Mhm.
And that year I did over $150,000 in
Oh
sales.
my goodness.
Hmm.
Wow. At the when you walked away, was there even a part of you that thought, "Ugh, what if this is a mistake? What if I have to go back and beg them for my job? Or did you just know this is it? It has to work."
I just knew. I mean, I did not want to keep waitressing. That's
Yeah.
something that I've kind of done on and off throughout my life.
Hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not where my heart was.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was doing well enough, that I could kind of feel comfortable quitting. And I didn't really know that, you know, now with all of this time that I could put into my Etsy shop, I wasn't expecting that kind of sales that next year. I really wasn't. But I'm just so, lucky and grateful that that happened.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. That is one of the best quit your day job stories I've heard. Do you
I
remember
know.
Etsy used to have those features, the quit your
I
day job, where they would highlight someone who had quit their day job to sell full time?
I do, and I used to read those all the time, and I was like, one day that's going to be me.
Yes, and it was. I wish they would bring those back. They were so heartwarming uh, to read, and they always just made me excited. Like, whoa, somebody did it.
I know, they're so inspiring. I don't know why they stopped doing that.
Yeah, yeah, they really were inspiring. So let's
Hmm.
talk about how. Well, actually, before we talk, I want to talk about how you manage your time now that this is your full time gig. But I did have a question. Do you still sell the original artwork and prints that you started selling back then, or are there some lines that you have discontinued for whatever reason?
That's a good question. Actually, to prepare for this interview, I kind of went back and looked at my sales
Mm-hmm.
and the things that I sold in the beginning, and I really don't sell those anymore. But it had me wondering, like, hey, maybe I should, list this print again. Like, why not?
Okay, so they're not
But
even listed anymore.
no, not really. I have very few individual prints. Like
Mm,
everything
okay,
now is a set.
okay.
So I kind of phased those out and yeah, so really no.
Okay. Okay. Just curious, yeah. And sets I would imagine. Of course you can sell for a bit more because there's more to them and the customer is getting more.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So that's
S-
good.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Uh,
Because, you could back in the day you could sell, one print for maybe $20, but you could sell a set for maybe 65 or $75.
mm,
So it was a really good profit margin.
yeah. And these are physical prints.
Yes, they're physical
Okay.
prints. So
Yeah.
I design it, I print it, and I ship it.
Yeah. Did you ever consider making them available digitally, or that was not in your plan for the vision of what you had for your shop?
I had considered it maybe a couple years ago because that had sort of become the big thing on Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a lot of digital sellers,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought about it, and I did kind of make a section, and I think I had about 13, digital designs on there, and they weren't selling. And of course, the price point is so much lower.
Yeah.
People price a digital print at maybe like $3.
I've even seen
And for me,
$1.
I know. And for me, I'm just like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
And if someone leaves a bad review, that dollar or $3 was not worth it.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of decided to just take those all down
Okay.
and stick to the physical prints.
Okay.
And I guess in the future, you know, if this doesn't carry on the way that it does, I could always venture into that, area.
Yeah.
But for now, I'm not doing it.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about how you manage your time. What do your days look like, or what does a typical day look like for you in the life of running your business?
Well, my a day in the life now is very different from a day in the life back then when
Yeah.
I was super busy and I didn't have a kid.
Yeah.
Um, there were a few years back then where it was just me. It's always just been me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would basically wake up and I would work all the way until bedtime. I took, meal breaks and that was it. And I did that for like 3 years. And I only allowed myself 2 days off a month, every other Saturday. And sometimes I didn't even get that if I was too busy.
Mm.
So it was really crazy for a while, like, burnout level.
Yeah.
Um, but then after, I had my son, I was kind of forced to slow down because I didn't have all that time to put into the shop. I wasn't making new listings and my sales did just slow naturally. So now he's 7. So basically I get up around 6:45. I get him ready for school and I bring him there. I might get home around 8:30. I will make some tea and head into my studio. And depending on what orders need to go out when, I usually try to either do, all prints or all jewelry. I don't like to kind of get, messy doing both of those in the same day.
Yeah.
So if I have, print orders that need to get out, I will just print and ship those. If I have jewelry orders that need to go out, then I would work on the jewelry orders. So I'll do that up until it's time to pick him up from school around 3 o'clock. And after I bring him home, I will do my run to the post office. Then we all have dinner as a family. And after dinner, my son and my husband hang out while I go back into the studio and I work on proofs for my customers, just if
Mm-hmm.
they want to change colors or do a custom order.
Mm-hmm.
I work on submitting my canvas orders. I work with a canvas manufacturer to do that.
Yeah.
I don't do the canvas orders myself because that's just a whole new thing and I'm not ready to go there yet.
Yeah. It's a lot.
It is a lot. And then usually, I'll get my son ready for bed and do the bedtime routine. And then if I have to, I'll come back in to finish up whatever I didn't get done. Um, yeah. So basically, I'm working whenever I can, and I answer
Yeah.
convos throughout the day.
Yeah. Do you, or when do you make time to create new products, and and where do you get the inspiration for new products to sell, both the artwork and jewelry?
That's kind of a struggle because,
Mm.
I mean, I've been blessed enough to just basically I have enough time to do the orders that come in, and that's all. So I don't have a lot of time to create new things.
Yeah.
So most of the time, the way that happens is through my actual orders. So I might have a customer contact me and say, I really like this print set, but I want to, can I switch this design out for this design? Or can
Mm.
you do this, custom design instead? And I want it to match this bedding. And they'll send me, a photo or a link.
Yeah.
So right then, that kind of turns into a new listing.
Yeah.
So basically, whenever I do something different, whether it's different colors or just different designs together or a whole new custom order, I will then take that and I will always list it in my shop because I'd say most of my bestsellers have actually stemmed from custom orders.
Yeah. And I hear
Hmm.
that quite a lot is, custom orders are a great source of ideas for actual new products or product lines.
Yeah, I would never, I mean, if you can, I would always say yes to a custom order
Yeah,
unless you just, physically can't, or you
can't.
just think this is not something that I'm able to do.
Yeah,
But I always said yes until I got to the point where I was literally so busy that I just couldn't.
yeah.
And then I would say no. But now I'm back to saying yes for the
Uh,
most part.
okay, good. I was going to ask. I said, well, do you, stop for a while, then you take them, and then you take a break from taking them. So yeah, it sounds like you do.
Yeah, I mean, I try to always take them because in the back of my head, I know that this might actually turn into, a bestseller for me.
Yeah.
So if I can, I will. But there's been a couple of times where I'm just like, no, I don't feel like doing this. And the answer is no.
Yeah, yeah. How do you determine the pricing of your products?
Pricing is a little bit different than what you may have heard from some of your other guests,
Hmm.
for the jewelry shop mostly.
Okay.
But for the pricing of the prints, in the beginning, I just looked at some other print shops
Hmm.
and I modeled my pricing after theirs.
Yeah.
And over the years, print prices on Etsy have come down. And I think that's just because new shops are trying to be competitive and get
Yeah.
sales through the lower priced items.
Hmm.
But I personally haven't lowered my prices very much since I started. And with jewelry, I do something a little bit different. Most of the time, I'll ask myself, what would I pay for this item? Or what would I expect this item to cost at a store? And I kind of just take that price that's in my head and I list it at that. And most of the time, I don't have to worry, am I making a profit here? Because it is on the more expensive side.
Mm.
And that's just the pricing that I have for both of my stores.
Mm.
And for some of my really special necklaces, which can cost hundreds of dollars, I think of a price that I would be comfortable accepting to part with that necklace because some of them I love them so much and I think
Mhm.
they're really special, one of a kind pieces.
Yeah.
And I'm not willing to let them go for less than this amount, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't have like a formula. That's I hear some people talk about,
Yeah.
cost of this and labor and times whatever and hours and I don't do that. I price my items on the higher side and that has been working for me so far.
Okay. And do you ship internationally, or do you only serve the domestic US market?
I've always offered international shipping, but I had to stop during COVID because
Mm.
some of the countries weren't accepting mail
Oh,
and a
yeah.
few of my packages never even showed up.
Oh,
And some others were taking months to arrive. So two of my customers actually opened up cases
oh
because they hadn't
no.
received their orders. Yeah, I had one in the print shop and one in the jewelry shop. So, and I don't think they ever received them at all.
How
So
did you
I decided
resolve
it
that?
wasn't, well, they open the cases and then you kind of have to go back and forth.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had a case,
No.
but you're conversing with the customer and then an Etsy admin can see basically what you guys are saying and then
Uh-huh.
they kind of chime in when they feel like you're not going to be able to reach a resolution.
Hmm.
So basically, because I had sent the orders and there was, the tracking information showed that I had sent them,
Hmm.
I wasn't liable for that.
Okay.
So with one of the orders, I think Etsy actually refunded them out of their pocket, I guess.
Oh,
And yeah, I didn't know that was a thing, and no one even told me.
I didn't know
One day
that.
yeah, one day I was just kind of like, whatever happened to this order?
Yeah.
Because, the case was solved or whatever. And then I just looked back at the order, just curious, and it said refunded. And I know I didn't refund it.
Hmm.
So I actually reached out to Etsy, and someone got back to me and said that they refunded it. So
Wow.
yeah, I think that was just a special COVID case,
I
I
was
feel like
thinking that, yeah.
I feel like that's not normal. And they only did that because, of that situation.
Yeah. And
But
plus, you're a high volume seller. They, I would imagine they would want to make exceptions in certain cases. They probably took into account, I don't know, I'm just guessing, into account your selling history and your review history and your sales on the platform and how long you've been there. And I think it just would make good business sense for them to make the customer happy and also to make the customer whole, I should say, and not penalize you for something that was out of your control. That's a good business move, and I'm hoping that's what that was.
Yeah, I like that. And I did reach out to her, and I wasn't going to reship because this was international and shipping is
Mm-hmm.
expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but I did offer them as digital files. And I don't think she accepted that. I don't know. She was just kind of done with me.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Oh well. So now, so since then, do you still not ship internationally?
I just recently, I feel like a month or two ago, I
Okay.
turned that option back on
Okay.
because I'm hoping things are getting back to normal.
Yeah.
I do still expect the longer than average shipping times,
Mm-hmm.
and I hope that my customers expect that too, you know.
Yeah.
But right now, I guess I'm just doing more of an experiment to see how it goes.
Yeah.
And if I have to stop doing it, then I would.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I hear about all those ships, the cargo ships just stuck at sea or at the ports all lined up. And I think, man, somebody's paying the price for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Um, do you ever, at this stage, do any type of competitor analysis and see what other people in your niches are doing? Either trend research, so you know what kinds of products you should be carrying or not, or pricing too.
Sometimes I will do some trend research, mostly like nursery trends,
Mm,
because that's a thing.
yeah.
And, like children's decor trends and, what colors are going to be hot this year and that whole kind of thing.
Mm.
I don't spend too much time looking at competitor shops because it's mostly just upsetting. I've I've been on Etsy for so long that
Yeah.
there are so many copycats, and
Yeah.
it's always been that way.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll just see an item that is literally your item,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So it just makes me upset. So I try not to do that.
Yeah.
But sometimes I will do a search on Etsy for, something specific, like woodland nursery art, just to see what comes up in search, like
Uh-huh.
whether it's my items or just to see what other ones are popular,
Mhm.
because that usually is what shows up on that first page. And that may give me some new ideas for new designs.
Okay.
So a couple, I feel like a couple years ago, I was doing that nursery search just to
Mm.
see what was selling,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept seeing the woodland animal sets, and it
Yeah.
was all about the woodland animals, and they were all very like realistic looking. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think they were actually like photos of these animals, and I wanted to hop on that trend, so I put my own spin on it, and I created a set of like modern looking cartoonish animals, and they're kind of peeking in from the side of the page, and one is
Yeah.
upside down, and
I see
it's
those.
very,
They're cute.
yeah, it's cute, but it's different from all the other woodland options out there.
Yeah.
And that has been a bestseller of mine for years.
Nice. Yes.
So, yeah.
I definitely felt the woodland trend when it hit, because I think everything, like wedding invitations and, uh, books and art and, everything. I was just seeing it all over. I'm like, what is this woodland thing I'm seeing? But yes, I know, I remember when that hit and thinking, oh, am I missing something?
Yeah, it's actually still going strong. Like if you do nursery searches, like that's what's out there. Like I'm like, what is
Yeah.
the next idea? Like I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
Let's move on, you
I
know?
I know. I'm always curious too, like where did it start from? I know Etsy releases their annual trend report. And
Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever, this year was actually the first year I looked at it, and all of a sudden, so many things made sense to me. I don't know why I
Mm-hmm.
never really paid attention to their trend report, but um, they tell you their color of the year and
Mm-hmm.
their gem of the year and the theme of the year. And I'm thinking they might have thrown out the woodland theme for it to be so popular. So like this year it's all about emerald green and
Mm-hmm.
ikigai, which I was like, okay, like I can only learn so much.
I know. It's like, what is that?
Yes.
Are they
Yeah.
just inventing things now?
It sounds like it. And the trend report is not a short document. It's long. I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just pick
It
the
is.
color.
It's impressive.
It's
I
very
like
impressive.
those.
Yeah, yeah. And I
I listened
think,
to that.
go ahead, please.
I'm sorry. I listened to the Etsy Success podcast,
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
usually do an episode that's just the trend report.
yeah.
So that's how I first discovered that. But yeah, they go in depth. There are trends
Yes.
for everything.
For everything, yes. I thought it was just going to be
Hmm.
a short, here are the trends for the year. And then I realized, oh, wait, it's everything.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. But I do think sellers who take the time to incorporate what Etsy is telling us is going to be the trends that they're looking at or that are, wherever they got them from, do or can benefit from going with with Etsy's trend. I think. I don't
Definitely. I feel like they'll probably end up, more likely to promote you if you're kind of going with their trends.
Yeah, yeah. Or be an Etsy pick, as they say.
Right. Hmm.
Um. So prior to the two incidents that occurred with the shipping because of the pandemic and whatnot, had you ever had to deal with any other disputes or negative feedback?
Yeah, I have. And I feel like that's just gonna happen, every now and then.
Yeah.
Um, it's like rare for me to get a bad review, but it is, bound to happen. And I've kind of made peace with that after 14 years of selling on Etsy,
Yeah.
that it's just going to happen every once in a while.
Yeah.
And sometimes when it rains, it pours. And for some reason, I'm like, people are angry right now. Like, what is going on? But during those first few years, if I received a bad review, oh my gosh, I would cry, first of all.
Oh yeah.
And then I would immediately contact the customer, like begging them to change their review
Oh.
and offering a full refund in exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And after doing that for a few times, I was like, wait, I don't feel right doing this. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't do anything wrong. It was always the customer, like, not reading the description or making an assumption. And, it was never my fault because I always make it right.
Yeah.
If something arrives damaged, I'm going to send something, a replacement free of
Mm.
charge. Or if for some reason I did mess up, I'm going to fix it. But all of these were because of, something that I did not do.
Yeah.
So then I just started replying to the actual review where you can leave a comment.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that in a way that was like truthful. And I tried to show, that I have good customer service
Mm.
in whatever way I responded. So, but now, and this is what I probably recommend, I'll reach out to the customer and I'll try to remedy the problem. And I can usually patch it up and get them to change their review. Um, like sometimes my most common thing is customer will order prints, but then they'll expect to get canvas, even though they have to literally choose prints or canvas at checkout.
Oh, yeah.
They'll choose prints. So I reach out to them and I usually offer to put their purchase price toward a canvas order.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just like nothing ever happened and they just ordered the canvas to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time they go for that. Um, or in the jewelry shop, sometimes, especially with my guys, a necklace will end up being shorter on them than they expected.
Mm-hmm.
So I always offer to lengthen it, and usually that solves that problem.
Yeah. I like that. It sounds like you figured out a system for dealing with the most common issues that come up.
I try. I mean, it's hard to kind of swallow your pride sometimes and be
Yeah.
like, this is not my fault, this is your fault. But
Yes.
you have to think about like the bigger picture and how's this going to affect my shop?
Yeah.
Do I want this bad review or can I just suck it up and, do what I have to do to kind of get them to change this review,
Yeah.
which in the long run is going to benefit your shop.
Yeah. So let's talk about Etsy shop promotion. But before I talk about what you do now or have done in the past, first of all, congratulations on all the press that you have received. And just to name a few, you've been featured in Huffington Post, Apartment Therapy, Netflix. I'm assuming a show must have used your artwork or something. Disney, Pregnancy and Newborn magazines, Brides magazine, House. I love House,
Hmm.
and many more. How did you get all this attention from these major publications?
That's a fun question. And I'm afraid that that was just pure luck.
I
So
thought you might say that.
that's not the answer anyone wants to hear, but that's the
Yeah,
truth.
no.
So, Brides magazine reached out to me just through an Etsy convo, and they were doing a feature on bridesmaid necklaces.
Mm.
So they were looking for bold colors, but they weren't sure which pieces they wanted to see. So I sent them about 60 different necklaces
Wow.
overnight, yeah, via FedEx, and they paid for all that.
Whoa.
And they ended up choosing one and featuring it in the article. So
Did they
that
send the
necklace
rest
sold.
back?
They did. They sent everything back.
Oh, wow.
Um, and that was expensive to do.
Yeah.
So for one necklace, and that necklace did sell, but I don't think it was related to the feature.
Okay.
And that was in 2011.
Mm.
Also in 2011, this was a very fun year for me. Southern Living magazine reached out to me wanting to feature a specific necklace that I had called the Sabrina necklace. So I sent that to them and they photographed it for their article and they sent it back. And they
Huh.
actually had a staffer who wanted to know if she could purchase it for $75. And I had listed it for $135. So
What?
I was like, no, this is about to be in a magazine. I can't
Yeah.
sell it to you before the magazine comes out and also for half price.
Yeah, yeah.
So I knew that that would sell, and it did sell right after that issue came out. And luckily, I had 7 or 8 similar necklaces because people were contacting me asking to buy that specific necklace that sold out. So I would direct them to a similar necklace, and then all of
Mm.
those sold out too. So that feature definitely brought me some publicity. And the Pregnancy and Newborn magazine reached out to me through Etsy Convo also,
Wow, look
wanting to
at that.
feature, I know, answer your convos,
Yes.
wanting to feature a print of mine that had 2 baby elephants with their trunks intertwined.
Oh.
And that was for a piece they were doing on twin nurseries. But I didn't really sell very many of those. So that was kind of just for fun, I guess.
Hmm.
But the Netflix story, so I received an order for 10 prints from a buyer, and she had left a message saying that she was the set decorator for a new Netflix series. And she wanted to use these as part of the set design, and she needed my permission. So, of course, I was like, yes. And, she emailed over something for me to sign.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised that she just flat out ordered these and paid for them. Like I would have given those to her for free. So, but there was no guarantee that any of them would be used, and no one was going
Oh,
to let me know. So I had to
okay.
wait for the show. I had to wait for it to come out, and then I had to watch it to try to spot my prints. So the show came out, and I watched the first episode, and I didn't see them. So I was like, okay, I need to find these now. So I started fast forwarding through the episodes, like trying to spot them. I was like, I don't have time for a new series. So I eventually did see them, and I think it was on the third or fourth episode, and
Okay.
they were used to decorate a dorm. And it was not just any dorm. This was like a huge, amazing, beautiful dorm that would never actually exist. So in the single shot on the screen, you could see a set of four prints on one wall, and then a set of two prints on another wall,
Oh,
and another
wow.
print on the other wall. Yes, it was really cool. And there was one set that she bought that I didn't actually see. Um, so I guess I could try to go back and do more
Okay.
investigating and see if I could find that. But yeah,
Do
that
more
was so
scrubbing
cool.
of the episodes to find your artwork.
I'm I may have to actually watch the whole series.
Are you allowed to say what the series is or no?
Yeah, I can. It was a show called Dear White People.
Oh, I've heard of that. I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Okay, because I am a white
I was
person.
going
I
to
was
say
like,
it's
what is
kind
this
of
show
awkward,
about?
huh?
It's a little awkward. I'm like, I don't know what to think about this.
That cracks me up.
It's funny. And at the time, my son was probably one. So I was not watching TV. I didn't have time to watch TV.
Yeah,
I had time to like be a mom and then do my work.
yeah,
So I was
yeah,
like, I couldn't watch the show if I wanted to, I just didn't have time for that.
yeah.
But maybe I will watch it and see, what is this show?
I know. I'm curious actually. Like I said, I've heard of it. I haven't watched it, but yeah, if I were in your shoes, I would feel a little bit awkward.
Yeah, I was like, any press, I'll take it, whatever.
Right, right.
I think there were two seasons of the show, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, I may end up having to watch that.
Have you ever turned down press?
I did, and I could kick myself for this,
Oh,
but this was right around the time when I was super, super busy,
yeah.
and it was someone from the Today Show, and they had
No.
reached out, yes,
Oh,
and they were doing a segment
Tess.
on nurseries. I know, no, I know. They were doing a segment on nurseries and they wanted to feature my bird set.
Hmm.
And I did it in like a hot pink and orange colorway.
Hmm.
And they were all about, I think the trend was like bright, colorful nurseries.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this because I was about to go on vacation, which was really rare for me.
Mm.
I was about to go for a week-long vacation in Aruba, and the timing was not good. You know what I mean? Because I
Hmm.
expected maybe to get busier from this press.
Hmm.
And I was already so busy that I could barely handle what I was doing. So, and I never put my shop in vacation mode. I never have, and I won't,
Hmm.
just because I've heard all those things
Yeah.
about, you just kind of fall off the face of the earth and maybe you'll never come back.
Yes.
So that was not an option. I was going to stay open during my vacation and I was just going to extend my turnaround times.
Hmm.
So I said no, just because I was afraid of how busy I might get.
Wow. Okay,
I
so
know.
for anyone listening to this episode and you're not in the US and you're wondering why I'm upset on Tess's behalf for turning down the Today Show. The Today Show is a major morning show here in the US. Um, it's on every single weekday for what, like 3 hours?
Yeah, it's long.
Yeah, it's a long show every morning. And people, I don't know what their numbers are, but they've been on for many, many years. So I assume that they have a large audience, a large following. And, it's akin to Oprah mentioning your product. If you're featured, good things will happen, most likely. So my heart hurts that she had to say no,
Ah,
but I understand.
you're making me feel worse.
Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop.
And
I'll
this was
stop.
so long ago. This was
Yeah.
like 10 years ago, but now I'm like, why? Why did I do that?
You live and learn. You live and learn.
But you know what's funny? I recently got an order. I'm not going to say who it's from,
Okay.
but it's from one of the Today hosts.
Ooh.
And she ordered a set of canvases for her daughter's bathroom.
Oh,
So I thought that that
nice.
was so cool. I was like really
Nice.
excited.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
the name and I was like, wait a minute, is this,
Yeah.
the person?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
had to do a little Googling and she actually had her daughter's name. She
Oh.
wanted it on the canvas. So I
Yeah.
knew that this was that person. So that was a big deal.
I bet you they're still talking about you there in, in their hallways and all whatnot. I mean, 10 years later, and one of, somebody from there buys something from you. I'm sure you're still talked about in a good way, of
Oh my
course, because,
gosh,
yeah.
I don't know about that.
So you mentioned not putting your store on vacation. Do you go in on vacation mode, I should say? Do you go in when you want to take some time off and extend your handling times and all that, or do you leave everything the same and just communicate with people as you get sales?
Well, I never really just take time off just because I want a break, and that's
Mm-hmm.
probably bad of me.
Mm,
But I'm one of those people that has to keep going. Like, I don't know,
mm,
downtime for me, I feel so unproductive and
yeah.
I can't do it.
Uh-huh.
So the only time when I'll do that is if I'm literally going on vacation somewhere. And I'll usually extend my turnaround times. Like right now, I think I have like a 2 to 8 business day turnaround time.
Mm,
And that's only because I have to work with my canvas manufacturer's production time.
okay.
So that's actually longer than I would like it to be. So if I'm going on vacation, I'll probably do a 2 to 3 week turnaround time.
Okay.
And I will also, I answer my convos when I'm on vacation. And I usually, if someone makes a purchase, I will reach out to them just to make sure that they saw, because no one reads anything, that I am on
Yes.
vacation and that I will work on this, on this day when I get back, and
Yeah.
just to let them know so they're not wondering, where is my order and why is this person not reaching out to me and all of that stuff.
Yeah. Do you do you put a vacation banner? Do you replace your store banner with a vacation announcement banner?
No, that might be a good idea actually. But most of the time, I wonder when people find my items, I feel like it's just in search.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
true.
wonder if they ever even see my shop, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do they even see my banner? And I know they don't read my announcement because, always I'm like, I'm on vacation with like stars beside it and all this stuff. Like, this is important.
Yeah.
But I feel like people just don't
Yeah.
um, look at that. But that might be a good idea just in case.
Yeah. I bet you they see the 20% off or the 25% off, but nothing else.
I know. That's all that's important. They're like, I'm not reading further. This is all
Yes.
I need to know.
This is all I need to know.
Yeah.
So, do you do anything to promote your shop other than the necessary things to show up in Etsy search? Do you do any social media marketing? Do you do any blogging and content marketing outside of Etsy?
Well, I do have a Facebook page and an Instagram
Okay.
and Pinterest as well.
Okay.
And I've had those all for a while. And I feel like those are just necessary today to show that,
Yeah.
you're a serious business.
Mm-hmm.
Like if a business doesn't have a Facebook page, I'm usually pretty skeptical, like this is 2022. You
Yeah.
need to have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, my husband will be looking for, I don't know, a plumber or someone for the yard or who knows what. And I'm always like, do they have a Facebook page? And sometimes they don't because we're out like in the country and sometimes it's just these people who just word of mouth gets them, their business. And I'm like, if they don't have a Facebook page, we just can't, like, is this legit?
Yeah.
I just don't trust them.
Yeah.
So I usually post 3 or 4 times, and whatever I post on Instagram, I'll also just post that on Facebook. And I usually just do new listings, or I do a lot of customer photos and sometimes like behind the scenes stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get any sales from Instagram or Facebook, but I do them because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
And I do kind of like to see the photos, especially on Instagram. It's kind of like a portfolio,
Mm-hmm.
Like I can look through it and see things that I've done and like cool moments like, the magazine article or the Netflix show or just customer photos that I like.
Yeah.
And it's also a good place to send customers. Sometimes they'll, ask me, should I do prints or should I do canvas? And what do you think looks better? And then I can send them to my Instagram page and they can see all the photos of both options. And I think that that's just, a good thing
Yeah.
to have. And I also do Pinterest, and I've always done that. And I just pin any new listings.
Okay.
So some of those, like from back in the day, have like tens of thousands of repins. And all
Wow.
I did was pin the item one time. So I do get some traffic from there. Almost all of my social media traffic comes from Pinterest.
Mm.
And I recently started doing Tailwind because I heard about it on your podcast.
Hmm.
And I've been doing that for a couple of months. And I don't think I've seen any new traffic from it specifically,
Yeah.
but I do really like the way that you can upload a photo and then they present it in like a million different little templates and you get
Yeah.
to choose, which ones you want to do. And I think that it just looks really professional and it's fun. I like doing the tailwind.
Well, let me throw a little thing out there since you mentioned Tailwind. And yes, we've talked about Tailwind on the podcast. I was recently reading one of the Pinterest updates, and now they're actually favoring manual pinning. I don't know if you've heard about this yet or no, but they are, I guess, starting to suppress automated pins and automated pins that come from automated systems because I don't know the exact reason why, but they've said they now favor manual pinning, so they want you to actually go into Pinterest and schedule your pins. You can schedule pins because now they have a scheduler within Pinterest, whereas before they didn't. So now you can actually go and schedule out your pins and put them up, and then they'll do it. But for whatever reason, they're favoring their scheduling tool over third party scheduling tools. The pins that are used with their scheduling tool over third party scheduling tools. So for anyone who's using Tailwind, and the funny thing is, sometimes I'll put a link to Tailwind so people can sign up, and it's an affiliate link, which means I get a commission. I'm the worst affiliate because now I'm essentially telling you, don't use Tailwind if you if you can. Just go in and schedule them manually within Pinterest. I am taking money from my own pocket, but that's fine.
Oh my gosh. I didn't hear it that specifically, but I did read, I think that it's good to manually pin also. Like don't just schedule,
Yeah.
and I do that also.
Yeah. Oh,
So
good.
I've been doing both, but maybe
Yes.
that explains why it hasn't really taken off.
Yeah. Yeah. And, rather than people, I'm such a horrible affiliate. Rather than you spend I think there are different plans, like a $9, there's $15, whatever. If Pinterest is favoring pins that use their own internal scheduler, just use their internal scheduler. What I like to do sometimes is, like, when I just need some brain downtime, just go in and schedule. And you can schedule out, I think up to 2 months in the future if you have all your pins already created. And then you don't have to worry about it, and then put a reminder in your phone, like maybe, a week before your schedule ends, to schedule some more. And it's free.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Do you know if they do like the optimized time? You know how Tailwind would basically do it for you, like when your visitors are most apt to
Yeah,
see your post?
yeah, yes. Not the last time I did it. They didn't have that, but I'm hoping that by now they do, because I do exactly what I just said. Like, I'll do 2 months, and then I have a reminder
Hmm.
in my phone a week before my pins end to go in and add some more. And they did not have the optimal pinning time um, thing available, but that would be a great feature.
Yeah,
Pinterest,
I'm
if
sure
you're
they'll probably get
listening.
there.
Yeah.
Poor
Because
Tailwind.
or tail, yeah. And Facebook has it too, and I do the same thing with Facebook, because they have their own I don't know if internal scheduler is the right term, but their own native scheduling thing. And Facebook does tell you the optimal times to post.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know what's funny?
Mm-mm.
Just from doing Tailwind, all of my optimized times are at night, like basically 8 to like midnight.
Oh, yeah.
And I always do my Facebook and Instagram posts in the morning.
Oh.
So I'm like doing all the wrong times, I think. And maybe that's why I don't get any traffic from those, because I need to be doing things at night. That's what
Yeah.
Tailwind is telling me, like post at
Right.
night. So maybe I'll start doing that.
Yeah. Well, go into the Facebook scheduler and just do one sample one and see what time it tells you. Um, and I've noticed with Facebook, the optimal times are usually within a 3 to 4 hour window for me.
Hmm.
And for me, it's typically all morning, sometime in the morning, for whatever reason. But there's a 3 to 4 hour morning window that it always tells me these are your optimal posting times. Hardly ever at night
Oh,
for
that's
me.
funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And my guess is, I'm just thinking about this now. Maybe because people listen to the podcast on their commutes or on their morning walks or what have you. And so
Right.
that's why Facebook tells me, hey, post during these hours. And yeah,
That
earlier
makes
in the day.
sense.
Yeah. So I'm sure it will vary for everyone depending on what your business is, what you're selling, whatnot.
Yeah, because I listen to your podcast during the day when I'm doing my work. So I
Ah,
would be one of those people.
Facebook is smart. Or
Yeah, it's very
Meta,
smart.
as they call themselves now.
I know.
Okay. Oh, Tess, we've been talking for, I feel like I still have so many questions that I want to ask you, but,
I
and I'm going to
know.
try and cram some of them in there. One of the things that you, you have, um, done, or I should say experienced, is reaching a certain level of success with sales and then you watch it decline and then rise again. You mentioned that with the jewelry store. Um, have you had that with not just Jewel by Tessyla, but just the regular Tessyla? And how have you dealt with it? And how would you advise others to deal with those waves, especially when it's your primary source of income?
Right. So I have definitely had a wavy ride. Like if you look at my shop stats, they go up and down and up and down. It's very scary.
Yeah.
But I'll be very transparent with my numbers here. Um, when I when I first kind of when Etsy was my full-time job and I made, $150,000 in sales that year,
Hmm.
I carried on with that kind of numbers or more for the next few years. So I got to the point where it was normal for me to have $500 a day in sales, and I just came to expect that. Anything less than that, I was freaking out like
Mm.
something's wrong. This
Hmm.
is the end.
Hmm.
And then, I talked to my husband about it, and he's more, I guess, I don't want to say a pessimist, but a realist. And
Yeah.
he's like, Tess, this isn't going to continue forever. You know, something is got to give. And,
Mm.
I just want you to be prepared for that. And I was like, why would it stop? Like, why? It hasn't stopped for this long. And what could possibly happen? But then I had my son, which was planned.
Hmm.
Um, and I just didn't have the time anymore. I had been working all day and, part of the night in my shop, and I didn't have that time anymore. I went from doing that to basically being able to work for maybe 3 hours a day when he was napping or when, somebody was looking after him because I decided, I didn't want to have a nanny and I didn't want to put him in daycare. Like I
Hmm.
wanted, to do this myself.
Yeah.
So I went from all of that time to almost no time. And I basically just had time, to do my orders and I wasn't creating anything new and I wasn't really promoting or anything like that. So my sales actually kind of cut in half. So I went from that kind of extreme level of success down to, a different level,
Yeah.
which was still really good for only working that many hours, you know, and being able to take care of my son. Like it was still, amazing. But after a few years of that, I was like feeling bummed, like I had this level of success and now I'm
Mm.
just doing this and I just wanted that back. And I was just like, how am I going to get this back? So my son had started going to preschool at that time, and that was just a few extra hours, a few days a week.
Mm.
But I decided like this was my new goal. I am going to get back to where I was. And I just had this like newfound motivation, just wanting that success again. Um, so I put all of my time when I wasn't with him into my shop, and I really concentrated on creating new listings because you never know which one is going to take off, you
Mm.
know? And I was saying yes to the custom orders and all of that. And slowly my sales did start growing a little bit year by year.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and I really didn't know what to expect with that. I didn't really expect my sales to slow, but I definitely didn't expect them to grow. And COVID, it was insane. All of a
Wow.
sudden everyone was at home and they were just shopping, I guess.
Hmm. Hmm.
And my sales that year were almost $200,000.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
So I actually surpassed what I had done before. And at this time, I had my son home with me because, the preschool had closed and they were like, don't leave your house. And, we couldn't have like someone come over to watch him because everyone was like, let's stay away from each other.
Yeah.
So my poor son, he was in, the studio with me every day, and we just had to get through our orders. And I remember buying him like a Lego a week, like a big Lego,
Uh-huh.
like 1,000 piece. And I was like, this is your job this week. And every day he would like sit, I put up like a table in the back of my office and I was like, here's your Lego. You work on this for a few hours and I'm going to work
Hmm.
on this.
Hmm.
And then of course I let him watch, way too much TV, and I had to kind of find a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And then the following year of COVID, when we were all hoping that it would be over and this would go back to normal, um, my sales kind of kept, they were a little bit lower than the year before, but they still had that kind of high volume.
Hmm.
So I was like, wow, this is great. Like I wasn't expecting this to last this long. And that was last year. And now this year, I am seeing a little bit of a dip.
Mm.
I guess they're out and about now and lives are getting back to normal.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing better than I was doing before during that kind of slump.
Yeah.
Um, and I still have that motivation to keep up what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And I guess my main strategy now is to kind of try to do the new listings and to try to find that bestseller.
Yeah.
So it's weird how that happens. Like there always seems to be like a best-selling item, and you kind of have to just run with that until all of a sudden it's over.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
And that just happened with one of my print sets. For the past few months, it's been like a bestseller. Most of my sales have been that set,
Hmm.
and now all of a sudden it has stopped.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of like, all right, it's time to find that next
Find the
bestseller.
next
Like,
thing. Yeah.
I have work to do.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I like that.
but it's hard. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, please. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's hard not to feel, discouraged. And every time the sales slow, you're kind of like, is this the end? This is it.
Yeah.
Like it's over. And even 14 years later, I still kind of feel that way. Like this is it.
Mhm.
But I have to just kind of keep working
Yeah.
and never just kind of let your shop be as it is. You got to always try to make it better.
Hmm.
There's so much information out there. Just, podcasts like yours, um, information on Etsy itself, YouTube videos, all that stuff that we can always make our shops better and just try to keep creating.
Thank you, Tess. I was going to say I just love how real and honest you are about, you know, the realities of running a business. There are some really good times and then there are some not so great times, and you just have to stick with it, and like you said, figure out, okay, what's my next bestseller, or what's my, what's the next thing that's going to propel me to the next stage or carry me through the next phase, and then take it from there. And I think some people give up when the dip comes, not expecting that there's going to be another crest around the corner. But you've had 14 years of dips and crests. The crest is the high one, right? I hope I'm using the right
I think so.
terminology. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah. And just a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Any advice for other business owners who, like you, being a solo entrepreneur, um, can experience just the loneliness and lack of community because you're working by yourself, you don't necessarily have other coworkers, and big chunks of your day are spent alone. What advice do you have for other sellers about how you deal with that aspect of running your business?
Oh, the loneliness is so real. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I kind of almost forgot about that. But there have been times where I've actually just been so lonely that I've kind of contemplated like, should I stop doing this and should I be doing something else? And, I feel like I'm in a rut sometimes. I always tell my husband, I'm in a rut again, like,
Mm-hmm.
what can I do? Just because it's hard not to feel like a zombie sometimes,
Yeah.
especially just fulfilling orders that come in. I'm printing, I'm shipping, I'm printing, I'm shipping, and every day it's the same. And it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely that loneliness. And one thing that I've been wondering about recently is like if one day I should open up an actual shop, like a
Ooh.
brick and mortar shop,
Yeah.
because that way I could be with people,
Yeah.
and I would get to talk to people. And my concern there is like, would anything actually sell, because so much is online these days, shopping wise. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't even understand how the in-person stores can stay open.
Yeah.
So I'm having that kind of struggle, but I do think that that might be something that I might do in the future just to kind of get out of the lonely funk.
Yeah.
But podcasts have helped me, and I've only been listening to yours mostly. I've tried to like venture a little bit into the other podcasts, but there's something about yours that's just so like soothing and calm.
Oh, thank
And
you.
some of the other, you're welcome. Some of the other podcasts are like, I don't know, they're like a little bit obnoxious, and I just can't even, I can't listen to that and work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yours has just been like really, really good for that. I kind of feel like I'm not alone, and I can listen to it without, getting too distracted.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, my husband works from home too.
Oh, that's
We don't really
great.
see, yeah, we've been working from home for a while. He's all the way on the other side of the house, so we don't really see each other except we call it meeting at the water cooler. Sometimes we'll go to the fridge and like we need a refill, and then we'll just kind of talk a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But that helps because
Yeah.
there were a couple weeks where before COVID he was actually going into an office, and that was weird. I thought I would be like, oh, I have the house to myself. This is so nice. I can do whatever. I can blast my music, and but it wasn't nice. I was like so lonely. I was like, oh my
Oh.
gosh, this is weird. Um, yeah, so just having him here has been better, even though we don't really see each other. I know that
Yeah.
I'm not literally alone,
Alone. Right.
but I do try to get out of the house. Like I physically go to the post office to do my dropping off instead of
Mm-hmm.
having them pick up my stuff, just so I
Mm-hmm.
can get out of the house.
Yeah.
And I will take, usually I'll take a day during the week to kind of run some errands and maybe meet up with a friend for breakfast or lunch or something,
Yeah.
just because I have to do something. I have to get out. I
Yeah.
have to physically get out.
Yes.
So I definitely recommend that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I think it would be nice to like go to Starbucks and bring my laptop and do some work there, you know, just to be like in a different location and I don't know, to just get out of the funk of every day, the same old thing.
Mm-hmm. Is that practical for you? Like, is that something you can actually do? Because I know for me, sometimes working from a coffee shop, it just doesn't work.
It probably wouldn't work. I haven't done it because it's not practical for me. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the time I'm just printing, you know.
Right.
I can't
Yeah.
bring my printer to Starbucks.
Yeah.
But sometimes I think it would be so nice just to maybe like review listings or like tweak keywords or do stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's
Yeah.
not practical, no.
Yeah. I know. I've tried to um do like my podcast stuff at the coffee shop. Everybody doesn't want to listen to the Etsy Conversations podcast at Starbucks.
Oh no.
I found out.
They don't?
I know, you would think, right? No, they
Yeah.
don't. um, are there any tools and resources that you find particularly helpful for running your Etsy business?
I have been doing the promoted listings for a few years now,
Mm,
and I have found like I've slowly upped my um, spending money. I kind of, I researched a little bit, like in the forums and stuff. I'm always curious, like, what are these people spending on promoted listings?
mm-hmm,
And a lot of the time, you'll just hear the a dollar a day.
mm-hmm,
And I was doing the dollar a day, and that just wasn't really cutting it for me.
mm-hmm.
Occasionally, I'd get a sale from that. So one day, just as an experiment, I was like, I'm going to put some real money into this. And I think I did. I think I started with $10 a day, and then I went up to 15,
Mm.
20, and right now I'm at $40 a day.
Whoa.
But I never spend that much because
Okay.
you only pay when they click.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
like yesterday, for example, I spent $6. My budget was 40, but I only had $6 worth of clicks.
Okay.
So even though the $40 a day sounds really scary, it doesn't it doesn't come to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that I usually get like a 5 times back what I put in.
Oh.
So currently at this level of promotion, I might be spending close to $500 a month
Mm-hmm,
on the Etsy ads.
mm-hmm.
I will make 5 times that
Okay.
from them. So I find that to be working for me.
Okay.
And I also am probably in the minority here, but I really like the offsite ads, which I have nothing to do with,
Yeah.
but I get a lot of business from that.
Yeah.
And my prices are priced high enough where I don't have to worry about that margin.
Yeah.
And I would tell other sellers if that is digging into your profit margin, then your items are priced way too low.
Mm-hmm.
If if Etsy fees in general are an issue, then you need to really up your pricing.
Yeah.
Um, Same with the offsite ads, because that amount, that percentage, it shouldn't be an issue, you know?
Yeah. Thank you for
Um,
saying that. I know there's so much negativity surrounding that, but I know it's working for someone, and it's nice to talk to someone who it's working for. I don't think it was 100% greed on Etsy's part to do that. Um, so yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, I like to think, Etsy always does these changes, and we're
Mhm.
always like, no,
Yeah,
not another change. Like, why are you doing this to us?
yeah,
But now I always say to myself, Etsy is doing this for the betterment of everybody.
hmm,
They're doing this for a reason. They're doing the offsite ads because they really think that this is going to generate more business for
hmm,
them, which means more business for us. So I see how the offsite ads are working for me. It's
yeah,
actually very similar to the results from the promoted listings. I might make $2,000 in sales a month from the offsite ads, and I'm paying, maybe $300 in fees.
oh yeah,
So
that's
it,
reasonable.
it, it really works out, really well for me.
Yeah,
And that might be the key is having higher priced items.
yeah, and we know that is a global problem on the Etsy platform is sellers underpricing and undervaluing their products and their time, and just being afraid to charge what they really should. And like you said, I think a lot of newer sellers come in at lower prices to get that sale, but then end up suffering in the end because uh, running a business by trying to undercut other businesses is not sustainable for you as the business that's doing the undercutting.
Right. They can't be making much profit. And
Mm-mm.
overall, it kind of hurts everybody.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just think, let's all raise our prices together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And set this new level of normal,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, because I don't know, it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. And, you know, for me personally, when I'm shopping for something, if I see something that is really underpriced, I question that quality. And I'm
Yes.
not going to buy that item, even though it is cheaper, because I'm expecting it to not be of good quality.
Yeah.
So I find that my customers kind of think that same way too.
Yep.
And they're willing to pay more for something that they like.
Yes.
Like, for example, if someone came across a print set of mine and they loved it and they thought it was perfect for their space, but it was a little bit more than they wanted to pay, I don't think they're going to keep searching just to try to save 15 or $20.
Yeah.
I think they're going to go ahead and spend that money because they really like this
Yes.
and they found it. And time is money and they're spending that extra time
Yep.
trying to find something else. They're
Yeah.
just going to go ahead and spend a little bit more and buy that product.
Yes. Exactly. That's how I shop too. I mean, I'm not always
Mm,
thrilled to pay more, but there's a part of me that feels like, okay, I'm getting something good by spending the extra money, and I'm tired of looking else. I don't it's
right.
the price is okay enough that I don't feel I have to keep bargain hunting, and
Hmm.
and it's not outrageous, and I feel
Right.
like I'm going to get my money's worth. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and order it.
And this is another little trick I do. Um, and I didn't do this until after with COVID. I didn't really do this, I don't think, because I was so busy anyway. But
Hmm.
after that, when I started to see that kind of dip in the sales, I decided that I was going to kind of continuously offer um, my my listings on sale. So, like right
Mm.
now, for example, I do 25% off at Tessyla and
Okay.
then 20% off in the jewelry shop.
Okay.
And how I did that, I didn't lower my prices. I actually went in and I raised all my prices by that amount. And then I went into the sale feature and I run my sale.
Yeah.
So my prices are actually the same as they were before, but now I feel guilty. I hope no customers are listening. But now the customers think they're getting that discount.
Yes.
Oh, it's 25% off now.
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
buy it now.
Yeah.
And I'll only run the sale for 2 days at a time so that it shows that, you know, this sale is ending in 12 hours or this
Yeah.
sale is ending in 3 hours. So that kind of gives them that push. I have to buy this now while
Now.
it's, 25% off.
Right.
So it's kind of like, Hobby Lobby,
Uh-huh.
how they do basically their whole store goes on sale like every
Yes.
other week, you know. You
Yes.
got to shop when it's 50% off. If it's not this week, it's next
It's
week.
actually, yep.
So I kind of stole their little trick that they do there.
Yeah, and it works. It works
So
on me for sure.
it works on me. And that's why I was like, this will probably work on somebody because who doesn't
Yeah.
want to buy something that's on
That's
sale?
on sale. Yes. You know,
So I don't know if that helps me or not, but that's something that I'm doing.
I've actually heard from other sellers outside of Etsy that strategy does work, when not only do you put products on sale, but you put them on sale on a clock so people can
Mhm.
see, this sale is ending in, 2 days or what have you. So then for those who are are tougher impulse buyers, you give them a couple of days to think about it so they don't feel like, I'm, being rushed into buying this. But they're like, okay, I have 2 days. And for me, that works really well too. It's like, okay, I know it's on sale, but I have 2 days. I'm going to sleep on it tonight, and then tomorrow, if I still feel good about it, then I'll buy it.
Yeah, I think the countdown is really key. And
Yes.
it's not that big of a deal. You just have to, I set a reminder on my phone it's time to
Yeah.
start the sale.
Yeah.
So every other day, I just start the new sale.
Yes.
And I think that that's key because I have actually had a few customers that messaged me, I'm going to go ahead and buy this right now because I want to catch this sale, but can
Yeah.
you do this?
Yeah.
So it is
Oh,
working for some people.
yeah. Yep. Sales psychology.
I know it works for me.
Me too. Tess, do you have any Etsy shop shout outs? This could be another store that you really just like what they're doing, or another seller that you just want to call out in a good way. I know we already mentioned Daisy Chick. I'm going to try and find her store if she's still selling on
You know what?
Etsy. What?
She's not.
She
And I don't
isn't?
know why. I can't, yeah,
Oh,
like boggles my mind
huh.
because she had 20,000 sales in 2008. You know what I mean? Like, where would she be today?
Whoa. Yeah.
No,
Hmm.
she's not on there.
Oh, that's too bad.
I know, but I do have a couple of shout outs. The first shop is called Mailed It Packaging,
What do they do?
and that shop owner is Mackenzie, and she makes
Okay.
really cute like packaging supplies, and that's where I buy my packaging tape from.
Okay.
So it's like super cute. It has all these phrases on it, like "Thank you for supporting small business," "Shop
Oh,
local," "You made a difference." With my
nice.
packaging, I always try to put little reminders to customers that, this is not Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
This is a handmade item. And I think that that kind of pushes them to leave a good review.
Yeah.
So I have like one sticker that says handmade with love and another sticker that says thank you for supporting my small business. And, I put all these on the packaging and then the tape, of course. And all of those things are kind of little reminders to the customer to kind of push them to leave that good feedback and to
Mm-hmm.
differentiate yourself from Amazon.
Mm.
So there's a lot
Yes.
of sellers out there that have products like that,
Okay.
that you can buy to kind of up your packaging.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then, yeah, the second shop is called Tats Digital Art.
Tech? It,
Tats, like TATS,
oh, Tats Digital Shop?
digital art.
Digital art. Okay.
And she does, it's funny because my son is really into Pokemon right now. And I wanted to do like some Pokemon art in his bathroom for his birthday,
Mm-hmm.
but I did not want it to look like a cheesy little, kid's bathroom because I use this bathroom sometimes. I'm like, I need to do sophisticated Pokemon in here. And that's what she does. She does sophisticated Pokemon art. I'm telling you, you should
Wow.
see it. It is so nice.
I'll have to check that out. Sophisticated
Yeah,
Pokemon.
I know. That really saved my bathroom. I'm not ashamed of it.
Nice. Okay, great. So I will link to both. w- Is Tat's Digital Art, is the shop owner named Tat?
Her name is Pinar.
Oh, okay. I will link to Pinar and Mackenzie's shop so that other folks can go and check them out. And please do go and check them out. And if you end up shopping with them, let them know that Tess sent you and you heard about them from Tess. Tess, what's the best way folks can connect with you if they want to get in touch?
The best way is probably just through Etsy Convo
Okay.
because I check those all the time.
Okay.
Um, they could reach me through Facebook or Instagram also, but the Etsy Convo would probably get you the fastest response.
Okay. And again, Tessa's shops are Tessyla and JewelByTessyla. I will have links to both of those in the notes for this episode. Tess, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. We've talked for almost 2 hours, but I'm so happy because I really wanted to have this conversation and have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for being my guest and for taking the time to chat with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I just, after listening so much to your podcast, I was like, I need to do this. This would
Oh,
be fun.
yeah.
And it's so nice to talk to somebody who actually understands Etsy
Oh,
because
yeah.
nobody knows what I do. Like, not even my mom. She does not know what I do. So,
Same here.
yeah, it's just nice to talk to somebody who gets it.
I know, I understand. I'm surrounded by people who don't. So I understand. And I thank you also for listening to the podcast. If you would like to be my guest, please go to convome.com and click on the guest tab. And I will get back in touch with you as soon as I get your message. Also, if you like the podcast and you would like to support the podcast, you can go to convome.com/support. You will be able to either buy me a coffee, or for extra perks, you can become a monthly supporter. And over at convome.com/support, you can find out all the extra perks you get for becoming a monthly supporter. Either way, I appreciate your support, and I will be back with another episode next week.